So if you look at the handout, everybody have one? Are there enough to go around? First off, the item will be turned twice. Once the inside, it will groove it in, and we'll go down to about half depth. Then then we'll take it apart, reassemble it, and do the outside. And you can see from the fine-looking lamp there that the final project will look like that, but this is the first one. Do not cut the wood at the top and the bottom. You need that to glue it together. So just hog out the middle. Now the next thing I like to do is true all the surfaces. I had one of the gentlemen help me on his saw. It wasn't good enough because on this wide piece you're going to have large cracks if you don't get it flat. So that's why I'm also saying don't sand it, because if you sand it you're going to get some pressure over here. On a small piece like that candle holder, you probably won't see any cracks. On something like this, they'll be there. So, true to the surfaces. I had help on this from one of the gentlemen here. Where did he go? Back there. Okay. He ran it through his joiner first, and then through his planer, and they came out pretty good. So, all right, we're going to put a temporary gluing on the quarters. So here are 4 little pieces, and we're going to put them together like this, and then we're going to turn each one back 180 degrees. What I suggest is for gluing, and that's the way I wrote it up in here, do them 2 pieces at a time. Do this one, let it sit for 24 hours to cure, and then do this one. Then when you got those both cured, you can press them together and clamp them again.
You don't put paper in the joint?
I'm sorry, paper in the joint, yes. Yes, if I had my notes here, I would have seen that. So anyway, yes, newspaper goes in there. One of them on the internet said if you use notebook paper, it comes out better. Now, I didn't have a piece of notebook paper big enough, so I did use the newspaper, and I did get a catch, and things went flying. So
Notebook paper apparently is thicker and heavier.
could be, don't know. So that's the temporary gluing. Brush it on, clamp it, cure time's 24 hours. I like to do this on a flat surface. So one of the things that helps out, if you put parchment paper down on your table, you can then glue it, put it together, and you won't end up with it glued to your table. So parchment paper on it. Later when you pull it apart, where that parchment paper was, you're going to have to clean that joint so there's no residual sticking out. If you do, and you do have a little bit of glue, it can damage your idea of gluing it together without cracks. Wood glue. Wood glue. On this I used the Tiggy Bond and category 2. If you get the category 3, it's got waterproofing on the inside. Now, like clear epoxy, that's your strongest epoxy. You add something to it, like coloring, it'll degrade it a little bit. And that's why I don't go with the type 3. I stick with the 2. Alternates to gluing, some guys use hot glue. Others use a small amount of CA glue. And what I read was if you use CA glue, hammer. You can strike it on the top and break it apart. That CA glue will give you a weak shear strength. Alternates, there's another one that says use some thin double-sided tape. And that idea I like. And I also commented in there that this wood glue cures by releasing moisture. So if you have a damp boards or something, I wouldn't suggest doing that. It's the opposite of CA glue. CA glue, you add moisture to it, cures just like that. This goes opposite polarity.
With the double-sided tape, you shouldn't turn them like a Godzilla as I do.
Okay. Clean the junction. I said glue, get rid of those lumps before gluing it. Glue the halves separately, clamp them, and then put the whole thing together. Let it cure 24 hours. Square the ends. It's nice to have these square. Use something like a chop saw, whatever. Then everybody hear me? Should I shout into this? We hear. All right. Gluing the halves, square the ends. Now this one I put on radiator hose clamp. It's kind of dangerous. I don't like that. So I brought along some painter's tape just to cover it, to keep me alert. Stay out of the blue area. Now, I saw something the other day at Osh. That's Orchard Supply Hardware. They have the strap tape there. I couldn't find it at the other two competitors. But this is the nylon reinforced strap tape. And if I had
That's the good stuff.
done good stuff, yeah. If I'd had that first, that would have been on there.
Yeah, I've got to go to there sometime, see what they have.
I'm sorry, say again?
I got to go there sometime and see what they have.
That's a nice store. They're helpful. First time I went in there, I think before I got to the back of the store, 5 guys had said, "Can I help you?" When I go into Home Depot, the guys there, I was raised calling them orange cockroaches. You know, you'll see one, he'll scoot around the corner and you'll never see him again. So.
Holes are the blue cockroaches?
Yeah, they are. All right, so the first thing I want to do is drill into it. One of the best things I learned in Ron's shop is drill out that drill out the end of it so you can set in the spur. If you don't, you're going to have a hazard. And several people out there have been wounded because it will fly out, and I've saved a lot of pieces too having that done. So this will be my bottom, and I'm going to drill into it just a little bit so I have a place to put in my tailstock. Dirty word. I want to drill in. If I don't drill, this point may work against me and push out the 4 pieces. So I want it to sit on the collar. I'll drill in just a little bit so it'll sit on the collar. This will be my bottom. Then on the top side, I like drilling in about 1/4 inch. And we mount it up. How are we running on time? Almost done?
4 minutes to go.
Now, my comment is set your speed at 0. But on your safety hardware, now I didn't bring a mask because I didn't think I could talk through it very good.
That's what the professionals say.
Yeah.
Who was that masked man anyway?
Pardon me?
Who was that masked man
Oh.
anyway?
Stuart, what type of wood is this?
Oh, I don't know.
Pequot? What is
Oh,
it?
that was, yeah, that's,
Pronounce it.
I can't.
It's a Portuguese word, so I never heard it before. P-I-Q-U-A, I think, Q-U-A. And I've never used this lathe before, so. Now, what did I miss here? Cleaning the junction, gluing them, square the ends, tailstock, drive spur. Number the quarters, and I forgot to do that. So,
You could always do that before you take it apart.
yeah. But I'm going to number them right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this is on my bottom. And I make an arrow in the outer corner on each piece. Later when we join them, that arrow will be on the inside. And number the quarters. On safety, I'm glad nobody's sitting in front. So,
I can move.
I put a couple of notes in there about being safe, where I had it, and where your hat, things like that. So page 2 is where I do my first wood turn. Now, I use a stool. My legs aren't that good. I have a handicap parking sticker. I probably never told you what happened, but this was when I was in the service. I was minding my own business, and some sexy Chinese girl walked by, and my zipper exploded.
More information. Is that part of the demo? We don't want to see it.
Tell us about your grandchildren.
One way to get attention.
See why you do one demo of 6 years.
All right, starting at 0, we're going to bring up the speed. I'm going to find the on-off
Face
switch on
mask.
this. Push it in, pull it out,
You
pull
sure
it out.
that's,
Pardon me?
that's pretty balanced?
Not bad. Take a piece of wood and then fly. Not bad.
Sorry, the 9-year-old had my helmet again. He pays attention. The one that's out at the school tomorrow, he doesn't. Now there's some suggested speeds I put on there. And this is based on, this is number 21. This is based on the number of inches coming at your tools. To me, that's the real answer to it. So this should be about 400 RPM. This block is 3.5 inches. Okay.
Watch out for the blue.
I forgot to tell all you kids to turn your telephones off. Oh, that's right.
We need it for 911, so we need it.
Well, this feels like a small motor.
Tighten it up.
Now these are each 3.5 inches, so I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to take this home on my Harbor Freight special and bring this down to 3.5 inches. So,
You're gonna go bore Bev, right? Zev?
or what?
You're gonna go ahead and bore Zev instead?
Yeah. So, through the magic of the internet,
Magic of Carl.
I have one that's half done. So on this, you get the same effect as that one I passed around. You can feel the inside is smooth. Put the finish on this first. If there's glue that squashes out, try and wipe it off early. Now, I do not put finish on the edges. That would be the inside here. I just limit the finish to the cut area, because if you're putting it on the outside, you may not get the grip you want with the glue. Now, I also commented, don't worry about the paper, the newspaper, because it ends up on the outside, it'll get tore off. So don't bother cleaning that. It's okay as is. So step one is get out my Harbor Freight $18. So I want to get onto the All right, once again, speed down to 0. Make sure it can spin. And let's start working. Where's Ron? Let me know when I'm running out into overtime so I can quit, okay?
You got at least till 8:30.
Thanks.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. We'll count on every 5 minutes.
Good evening.
You guys could probably talk tools and stuff because it's going to be boring for a few minutes. Time to get a new one.
Tailstock move.
Tailstock move.
For you new people, that's called an aw shit. One aw shit wipes out 100 outgoes.
Dave, anything more, Dave?
There you go.
You know, I picked on this big piece of wood because I always tell Lee Sky, size matters. So, back to business again. I'm going to stop here. It's getting late in the show.
Run out of popcorn.
Yeah, run out of popcorn. No, it won't. This is how it's starting to shape up. The top is going to be brought in quite a bit, about half that, half or more, so that I can reach in underneath the shade and throw a switch. The holes here are opening up nice. I'm going to take a little bit more off of here. And the bottom I'm going to leave wider so it doesn't tip over. Now if that demo piece was around here, anywheres? Right here? Yeah.
Glad you came tonight.
Yeah.
Worked for me already.
There's two things here. One is this pipe. And I think I had to buy an 11/64 drill to get the right size in there. This came out of IKEA. I don't think I'll do that again. I'll go down to either Lowe's or Home Depot. And I noticed online they have several different sizes. So before you drill in the top and the bottom, make sure it's the right size. This particular one, I didn't have a big enough piece of wood, so I split it and made two. The bottom I turned in a little bit, and I left a ring around here. Then I took I think the Harbor Freight calls an oscillating tool. It's the one that just shakes back and forth, and you can slice this off real nice. Make yourself a little gap so
me
your
see it.
cord can sit through it. Gap here, 4 places, and when it sits down, it's back far enough that it doesn't give that appearance of sitting on the table. As an alternate, you can use three or more little glue-on rubber feet. So, let me see what I missed. Oh, on when you start getting in there tighter, this is going to be sharp. So one of the things I found that works well is a Dremel tool with a flat wheel sander. Now I can get across that and smooth out the edges so nobody
Can you
gets
hold that
hurt.
wheel up to the camera so we can see what that is?
Black wheel.
The same
Oh.
wheel.
This is not Dremel, but the whole kit came for $20 years ago. That's-
Sandy mop.
Can't see whether it's a shape,
Dust mop, sandy mop.
not much like.
Close enough. Good.
Let me set it here.
You see it? Yeah.
My Parkinson's disease is kicking up right now.
Carl, don't worry about it. We'll pass it over.
Pardon me?
Carl was trying to.
Oh, okay.
Same.
The break apart that you had to do earlier, I put a chisel on the top, and they break apart pretty easy. Tap that with a hammer, and it'll come apart. Now the rotating, I was going to take that first one down to the right size, but there isn't time to do that. I was going to show how to break it apart and rotate it 180 degrees. I have my little wood pieces here. Here they are. By 180, we mean take it this way once, twice. This one, once, twice. And when you're done, the 4 arrows will be in the middle. Return normal or cornhole finish. Add your favorite finish. Good website. And down on the bottom, I put a few photographs of what they can look like. The last one is probably mine. All right, Q&A time. We got 2 minutes. Who has questions? Dick.
When I did some of these with ornaments and stuff, one of the things I remember to do is to, once you get down to get pretty thin, start checking real close.
Yeah,
Because otherwise you will go through before you realize it.
yes,
And then you have to start over again.
yes. I took all the,
Stop and check quite a few times.
I took all the inner YouTubes, put them all in one stack, and ran through about half of them. And a good number of them said, when you get down toward the middle, be careful. You'll go right through it or you'll make it weak.
Yeah, the flex.
So,
Yeah, you don't want to make the inside bigger than the outside.
good comment. Next question.
So how did you do the heart? How was the heart shape was
You do
done?
your catheter. Or the inside is bigger than the outside. Okay.
Heart shape on the page 3.
It's on page 2, it's the pictures.
Oh, those you have to, undercut. Here's my new tool. You have to, a good idea is to take and mark it with a pencil, come in this way, and just chip it away, kind of like you're doing those those natural edge bowls. Work it with a tool. There was another one on it. Oh, the one I couldn't get on there, somebody just did 2 sticks. And they did a heart out of this. And it looked very nice. So, next question. 8:29 and a half.
Going once, going twice.
All right, that's it.